Hey guys, I'm Dave, back with another episode of Debt Free Differently, and in this video we're going to get into a little bit of truth. Your friends are probably not as rich as you think. In the world we live in, social media makes it very difficult to avoid comparing ourselves to others. But when you think that everybody's out there living their best life and you're not, I'm here to tell you that things might not necessarily be as they appear. Seems like every other day you're seeing a friend post a picture of a house, a car, a watch, a video game system, something that you don't think that you would be able to afford, and they probably shouldn't be able to afford either. And the reality is that nearly half of all Americans could not handle an unexpected $400 expense without selling something or borrowing money. A large percentage of people are actually going into debt and making poor financial decisions trying to keep up with the Joneses, and you might actually be doing better financially than they are. Let's get right into some truth and some facts. Let's start with one of the most visible things, cars. You know how you have that friend that's driving a brand new Tesla, BMW, or Lexus, but you really don't know how? There's a very high chance that they're going about it in a financially irresponsible way. Let's look at some facts. The most popular car brands owned by millionaires are Toyota, Honda, and Ford. Normal cars. Millionaires, they're just like us. 86% of luxury cars are owned by non-millionaires, and over half of BMWs, Infinitis, and Mercedes are leased. Even if that friend did buy that car, the average auto loan size in the United States is $20,000. Theirs is probably a lot more, and over 80% of all new cars are leased. When people do buy cars, most people are saving some small amount of money, maybe 10 to 12% of the purchase price, and they're signing themselves up for payments for 3, 4, 5, or even 7 years of car payments. They'll convince themselves that they got a great deal with a low interest rate, but they're signing themselves up for years of payments that I can almost guarantee you they're not going to pay off early. Pretty much every financial expert agrees that leasing cars is a bad idea. So when you see these luxury cars on the road next to you, there's a good chance that it's leased. When you lease a car, it's like paying for rent, but it's worse. You make monthly payments, but you gain no equity. You pay more for the car than it depreciates for the time that you have it. And you pay for maintenance like you own the car, but you actually don't. Also, it has a bunch of rules attached like mileage limits and paying for damage when you return it. You're also locking yourself into a monthly payment that will probably never go away. Leased cars are generally new, so they come with a price tag to match, and it's very, very rare to find someone who's leasing a car and also saving to buy one at the same time. People get very defensive when it comes to leasing cars. They claim safety, they claim technology, and they say that they want to return a car before it starts having any problems. The average lifespan of a car is 8 years or 150,000 miles, and a whole lot of cars go way beyond that nowadays. Personally, my car is 14 years old, and I could confidently drive it across the country right now. That's anecdotal, but that's real. At least some people are honest and just say I like driving a new car every 3 years. They might be wasting their money, but at least they're honest. Now let's talk about stuff. About 80% of Americans have non-mortgage consumer debt, totaling to around $40,000 per person, so that's about $80,000 of debt in a household with 2 adults. So yes, your friend might have ordered the latest iPhone and somehow ordered a Peloton despite the fact that they've been unemployed for months, but they're probably going into debt to do it and ending up paying a whole lot more for these things due to interest and an inability to delay gratification. The average credit card bill in the United States is around $6,000, which means that there's a lot of people who are paying interest every month, and nearly 20% of Americans say that they're going to miss a credit card payment this year. I will never forget the day that I was at work and one of my coworkers, who is always very fashionably dressed and drove a very sweet brand new Lexus, left her credit card bill on the office printer. It was a Nordstrom credit card bill with a $6,000 balance and a 20% interest rate, and she had made $1,000 in payments the previous month. She looked rich, but I'm pretty sure her bills and her net worth would tell a very different story. Moral of the story, you might not have everything that they have, but chances are they don't have as much as you think they have. Let's get into the single largest purchase that pretty much anybody makes: houses. When you don't put 20% down on a house, you end up with private mortgage insurance, which normally adds up to around 0.5 to 2% of your loan balance each year. While it's temporary and ends up dropping off after a few years of payments, the reality is that you end up paying a whole lot more in interest than you would if you just delayed gratification and saved 20%. People who like to leverage debt like to say that they still come out on top over time, but the reality is that you're just paying more in interest, and who likes to do that? More than 70% of non-cash first-time home buyers don't put down 20%, and over 50% of all buyers don't put down 20%. So when you see your friend standing in front of that giant house and you wonder how did they save that down payment, and you don't know if you should send them condolences because someone must have died for them to get that down payment, the reality is that they probably did not save 20%. So you could take this two different ways. If everybody else is doing it, why shouldn't I? I wouldn't recommend that, nor would most financial experts. Or if you're working towards saving that 20%, you can be very, very proud of yourself that you're putting in the work to avoid paying interest on your largest single purchase for no reason. Let's get into luxury items, which a lot of rich people don't actually buy. We're talking about things like watches and clothes. So when you see that person with a designer suit or shoes or the brand new Rolex, you might think that they're just doing everything right with their money so that they can afford the good life. In reality, 50% of millionaires paid less than $300 for their most expensive watch. 75% of millionaires paid less than $1,000 for their most expensive suit. And 75% of millionaires paid less than $300 for their most expensive pair of shoes. More often than not, the people who are managing their money the right way are not actually buying the things that we often envy. When people care too much about appearances, it can absolutely wreck their net worth. I know it's extremely tempting to try and keep up with the Joneses, but no disrespect to your friends, there's a very good chance that they're not as rich as you think they are. People become successful with their money and even become wealthy by being disciplined, creating budgets, and living off less than they make. It's that simple. If you've made it this far, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with a friend, or subscribe to my channel. All of those things help more people find this video on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Debt Free Differently.